Ivey.com. Mr. Ivey, know the show must go on. And for Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame meat for me to cook on. Raised dogs, close fish, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlatives, keep it locked like the Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info about it? Ain't yo. John don't be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivey, so superlative like a bag of grippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Ranch at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, mate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Well, good morning, everybody. Loud, local, and vocal. Nate Ivey in the air chair. Good morning to you. If you would like to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. I'm with you for 2 hours up until 10 a.m. And then, of course, tomorrow you can expect regular programming back at 7 a.m. For Thursday and Friday. Also, we'll be streaming 2 live shows. The Cincinnati NAACP podcast will be streaming live tomorrow at approximately 1 p.m. And then on Friday, you can check out the Is It Just Me podcast, hosted by Daniela Bailey, a.k.a. Donnie B. That'll be at 12:30 p.m. Okay, so yesterday I got the word about a press conference that was happening down the FOP Lodge. It's over on Central Avenue. And I got the word a little bit late, but I was able to get down there just as things were, really they were at the tail end of things. And it was quite interesting. I didn't get a chance to speak directly with Dan Hills, although I did get a chance to, offer him a chance in length. But I did get a chance to offer him a chance to come on the show. We'll see. All you can do is put the invitation out. And what was the press conference about? Well, you might remember we talked ad nauseum about this case because, it just struck me personally, and it struck a lot of people. And it was the case of an 11-year-old girl who was tasered by a Cincinnati police officer. He tasered her because she was walking away, and he apparently had told her to stop. And he was reprimanded, some might say very harshly, by the police chief, who said that he did not follow proper procedure, and he was given a 7-day suspension. Well, it was announced that an arbitrator has now awarded Officer Kevin Brown to be reimbursed for his 7-day suspension, so he's going to get back pay. Now, remember, Kevin Brown was working off duty at a security job on August 6, 2018 at the Kroger store over at the Spring Grove Village when he stopped an 11-year-old young woman who was with some friends, and she tried to walk away with $51. I want to say this publicly, and I'm going to put it out on my Facebook page. I'm going to contact the Cincinnati Police Department. I want everybody to know that moving forward, if there are any teenagers, any young people who seem to be walking away with $100, $50 worth of merchandise, you don't have to taser them. I will reimburse myself, the Kroger store, so our black kids don't have to be tasered by Cincinnati police officers. Now, the policy's been changed a little bit. And at the press conference, Dan Hills, who's the FOP president, he said he didn't want to get into a policy issue. He said it's up to City Hall. Well, City Hall has spoken, and they've since changed the policy since that happened, saying that, of a certain age, you shouldn't be tasered. Now, Officer Brown did not follow procedure because he did not have his body cam on, number one. And then number two, he did not issue a warning, which is a part of the procedure. And Dan Hills tried to play it down. I wonder if Dan Hills cares. I'm going to go ahead and make a declarative, a bold statement. Dan Hills doesn't care about black people. From what I heard, from what I see, I don't see it. And if you watch the press conference on TV, he's making excuses talking about how, and again, I didn't see all of this in front of me. I just saw just a tail end of it. I missed that part. But apparently I watched it back on news like everybody else. But apparently he was asked a question about, how he felt about it, obviously. And essentially what he said is that he tried to play it down like, with a taser, all you got to do is put a little Band-Aid on there. Well, my challenge would be to anybody listening who thinks it's just a small thing to be tasered. Then I want to taser you then. Let me taser your ass just to see what it feels like. Anybody out there want to go through that just to see what it feels like? Hell no, you don't. And nobody in the media does either. It was quite interesting observing what was going down, also observing the media that was there as well, and just kind of watching it later, the kind of questions that were asked. You can expect me to be your man and your eyes and ears, your very vocal eyes and ears, live, local, and vocal on the scene because, some of this nonsense needs to be confronted. And Dan Hills needs to be confronted. I put out the invitation to him and followed up with a text message or a DM on Facebook early this morning. So we'll see. Last time I reached out to Dan Hills, he told me I should basically write him an email or some bullshit, which I wasn't going to do. I want you to do the same thing you do on 700. Come on and talk. I'm not sending you no fucking emails. I'm not doing none of that stuff. So either you come on or you don't. And, I got to jump through hoops. 700's not jumping through hoops. So that was the way I appealed to Mr. Dan Hills. Like, look, I hear you here, but I don't hear you anywhere else, yo. The same way I came at Coast. Because it's true. Period. And Dan Hills came on a little while ago. A couple years ago he came on because he was saying some dumb shit. And he had to be checked in front of people, and I was willing to do that. I thought overall it was a pretty good interview. I mean, shit, it could have got a lot worse, but, I could have turned up the heat, but people are sensitive about being, their values being challenged, I guess. But anyway, so in the press conference, he's talking about, taser is just a little Band-Aid. I mean, yeah, sure, you got these hooks hooked into your skin, but, once you pull the hooks out, it's just a little Band-Aid. I saw this. I'm like, what the hell? And what else came up? So Officer Brown is going to get 7 days reimbursement. We need to have a larger conversation about who the police arbitrators are. Because as I've understood it, the way the relationship works is that if you're an arbitrator and you rule against cops too many times, you're not going to be an arbitrator much longer. So if you got that kind of leverage over people in these positions, what do you think they're going to end up doing? Exactly. So, my question for Dan Hills would be straight up. You got kids. He had a daughter who tragically passed away. Would you want your kids to be tasered in that manner? Because they have $51 worth of food. Again, call me. I will pay the $51. You don't have to chase a child down over $51. I'll gladly pay it. And that way, the Kroger people who need to be called to the carpet, by the way, are they going to continue this practice of having police officers at the Kroger store? I'm just saying. Can we have that conversation? I'm just saying. I can understand you have to have security, but do they have to be Cincinnati police officers where at the same time as a it's like double duty. You double dipping here. You're an officer of the law, but you also the private security force for a place where everybody gets their food. Something needs to be said. But again, I'm sure there's some folks out there that have no problem with it. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. 513-873. I'm sorry about that. 7134 if you want to share your thoughts this morning. I don't want to live in a city where it's okay to taser a 7-year-old or an 11-year-old or an 88-year-old. Come on now. And then, Dan Hills need to be called to the carpet in the sense that, even in the local media, they're playing down the fact that Officer Brown did not follow procedure. And my question is this: what's the point of having policies and procedures if the police don't have to follow them? What's the point? To me, in this context, the fact that Officer Brown, one, did not have his body cam on, we need to understand what's the purpose of spending all this time and money to have body cam. But when officers don't turn it on, they just get a little slap on the wrist. What's the point? Either it's important or it's not. Either it's important that when officers are having interactions with police officers that they have the damn camera on, or we don't need cameras, because they both can't be true. I'm sorry. And it can't just be up to the officer himself, herself, themselves, to make this determination on the fly, and then they just get, a slap on the wrist like, hey, next time turn your body cam on. Okay, chief, and they roll out. It's got to be more than that. Secondly, there's a chicken and egg dynamic that needs to be more deeply analyzed. Dan Hills is trying to make it seem like, it's minor. Yeah, so Officer Brown admitted that he didn't follow procedure, and that was the whole point. If Officer Brown had said, hey, I'm going to taser you, he probably would not have had to taser the girl. That's the reason why they have these procedures, so that it doesn't lead to more lethal outcomes. So when officers don't do it, it can't just be a slap on the wrist like, you know what? Next time, make sure you announce you're going to taser somebody. Now get out there and do some good out there. There's got to be more to it than that. That is amazing to me. Meanwhile, back in the hood, brothers can get stopped for a little bit of anything, little technicalities. You didn't have a front license plate. Oh, it's a technicality. But when officers don't subscribe to the technicalities, it's just like, we're going to learn from this. We're going to learn from this. Listen, if tasering kids is okay, we should all be tasering our kids. They make it seem like tasering somebody is tantamount to, like, I don't know, a water gun fight. No, it's a little bit more severe than that. You might want to Google it. People have died after being tasered. That is a lethal measure, because you can get tasered, your body just turns off, you face first on the asphalt. So what should Officer Brown done? He should let the girl go and call Nathan Ivey, because I'll pay the $51 so little brown kids don't have to be tasered. Did anybody stop to ask if the girl was hungry? I'm just saying, that something's wrong with that. Now, the policy's different now. I'll tell you how. So perhaps we don't have to worry about this, but I think putting up a resistance to this nonsense locally is definitely what's needed. But you tell me. Tell me what you think about it. 513-873-7134. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Damn it. And again, the other thing is Dan Hills, he reiterated what Officer Brown said to the young girl about how this is the reason why Kroger stores are closing in the black community. And I challenge Officer Brown to come on this show and to debate that. Because I don't think that there's any numbers out there statistically that would back up that opinion, that conjecture. It ain't little 11-year-old black kids. It's the dope heads that's going in the Kroger store, robbing them blind. It's the dog heads, and everybody knows that. But we want to lay this on the feet of the black community. It's the black community's fault as to why a multi-million-dollar operation decides it's going to de-invest in black communities. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. Where did Officer Brown get? What is his degree in? What is him? We's our own. He got a bachelor's degree in we's our own worst enemy. We, oh, Lordy, little black girl. Oh, they're going to close down the Kroger over there if you keep taking $51 worth of stuff. I don't care. I mean, I understand she had to deal with the consequences and hopefully she'll learn from it. But the larger conversation about the culture that we want to build here, I mean, I think we all open to have an opinion about that. That is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. And there's no evidence out there whatsoever, statistically, I'm talking about facts, not opinion, that would suggest that it's the black community, it's little 11-year-olds' fault, little black 11-year-old brown girls. It's their fault as to why Kroger decided to close the Walnut Hill store. Yeah, it's her fault. Yeah, Sure it is, Officer Brown. Sure it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Would he have tasered a little white girl? Probably not. I'll go ahead and put it out there. That's my personal opinion. And if that was within the it can be, it's within the guidelines. Well, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. There's a lot of things that we as adults can do that we might be able to get off. But it doesn't mean you necessarily should do it. I mean, oh man, Officer Brown should never work security detail another second in Cincinnati. He is irresponsible and a danger to the community, period. That's irresponsible and a mofo. And then you can tell me anybody that would say, little girl, that's why they closed in Kroger stores, because of people like you. That is a lie. There is no evidence out there whatsoever. Please send me a link. I would love to see it. There's no evidence out there whatsoever to support what this man said and what Dan Hills reiterated in local news yesterday. And, I'm calling BS on all of it. I'm calling straight up BS on all of it. So send it to me. And I'll pay for it. I'm gonna send out a message to the chief. I'm gonna send a message to local news. No kids have to be tasered for $51 because they want to buy some damn grippos. And I mean, it's stupid. It's senseless. But that's lethal measures you're using. Stop acting like, oh well, it's better than me tackling her. Well, it depends. Raise your hand if you will allow me to taser you, so then you can report back to the entire group and tell us whether what the experience was like. Just raise your hand and we'll set that up over at the office/studio space. And something tells me nobody is going to volunteer for that, right? Because you don't want to take a chance of stopping your heart, do you? Exactly. So let's stop acting like, oh, just a taser. Oh, it's just like a little bee sting. Some people's like a wasp sting, but it's really like a little bee sting. You just pull the prongs out after they have embedded themselves in your skin, and everything's free. Put a little Band-Aid on there, some peroxide. We'll put a little Mickey Mouse Band-Aid on there, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Every adult should be outraged by that. Or maybe not. Maybe you have a completely different view. 513-873-7134. So that's local news that we can talk about this morning. I want to get your thoughts about it. Yeah. I mean, and then she was overcharged. This little girl was overcharged to make it seem like she was more of a threat than she really should have been. Yeah. the FOP has no soul, like locally. They have no soul. They don't care about the community. They only care about the officers. They only care about the consolidation of their own power. That's how I feel about it. That's what I see. I mean, the FOP can take that as a challenge, or they can say, oh, we got somebody criticizing them. I already know how they're going to take it. Somebody criticizing them, right? But the reality is that, you know, I think the FOP has a lot of growth that they could do in terms of bridging a better relationship with the black community. You know, they got a great relationship with the larger community. You should have seen some of these reporters behind the scenes, man. They were just one guy. He's just shaking his head. Everything Dan Hill said. Little bobblehead down here. We don't need bobblehead media. Yep, yep, whatever you say. Yep, just eating it up. Now, there was a reporter from the Inquirer, white male, who was asking some real questions, though. And he was asking some very cleverly put together questions, and at one point he made Dan Hills do it. No, that's not what I said. The question, the paraphrase, was basically, so what you're saying is before this taser policy was changed by the council, basically the FOP was for 7-year-olds being tasered for stealing, you know, a small amount of goods. And Dan Hills was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. So not everybody down there was on some dumbass like that bobblehead guy. I looked him up too. Let me see. I think his name is Ryan or something like that. Let me look it up before I throwing names out there. Yep. Whatever you say. Yep. 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 Whatever you say. Let's move on. Council, that's my imitation of some local media. Council to hold vote over the big pot debate. You know, because city council can't agree on what everybody else already knows, is that marijuana is not a threat. The biggest threat that marijuana poses is to black people because it's used as a provocation to F with us. Let's call it what it is, man. I don't have a lot of time this morning. Let's get straight to the point. This morning. And these were measures. It was a couple things. So I know that Smitherman or Mr. Smitherman and Mr. Pastor, they came together and came up with a proposal, which I agree with. This stuff should have been done. Let's get this done. And then you had David Amadeus Mann, who sounded like he didn't know what marijuana ever was. Like, people trying to get stoned. We don't use that term anymore, David Amadeus Mann. We don't use that term. Everybody's saying, let me see, self-described weed smoker Pete Dean told the Law and Public Safety Committee that he's cool with 100 grams as opposed to 200 grams. So that's what the big debate is about, whether the amount of grams that you as a Cincinnati citizen will be able to have on your person without the cops effing with you, basically, for plants. We talking about plants. We ain't talking about the cocaine. We ain't talking about the stuff that's really driving people down. We're talking about plants, man. This is therapy. The city's law department compiled arrest numbers involving marijuana over the past 15 years. Would you like to know what they found? Was being reported anyway. They show roughly 8 out of every 10 pot arrests were African-American males. So like I told you, it's being used as a provocation to F with people. I smell weed. You got any weed? Oh, we found some weed. Oh, we got a dope dealer here, y'all. You got 5 grams of weed. Oh, lordy. Oh, we didn't found the Nino Brown, right? They think every brother's Nino Brown around here. No, it doesn't really matter. I don't care as a private citizen whether you got 500 grams or 50 grams. What difference does it make? If you want to go sell it, go sell it. So what? And look around you. We got bars on every corner. You know what they sell in those bars? Drug. The most lethal drug, alcohol. But we're supposed to be all in our feelings over marijuana. Oh, the biggest threat that marijuana poses is to marijuana users. It's called COPD. It's the biggest threat. Oh, and you might get a belly. You got to get a gut because you got the munchies. But marijuana, oh, reefer madness. Oh, Lord. I mean, everything's so damn fear-based. There's nothing to be afraid of. The statistics showed that the time period was from 2004 to May of 2019. That's a really good sample size, about 15 years. The statistics showed that 16,817 pot-related charges under city law within that time frame. According to the report, 86.2% were African American. Surprise, surprise. That's my Gomer Pyle. Surprise, surprise. Really? 86.2% were African Americans? I am shocked. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by that. Really? Really? I mean, think about the displacement that means. Think about the potential impact to the children of those individuals and their aspirations to, climb up, either climb out of poverty or put themselves in a different position. Now, you can abuse anything. You can abuse sugar. You can abuse the internet. You can abuse working out. You can abuse drugs. You can abuse you can abuse coffee. You can abuse anything. I'm supposed to get all bent out of shape over marijuana. Now, there are some issues in terms of the one issue is the jurisdictional confusion, because there are some jurisdictional issues in terms of what the state law is as it relates to it. And there are state law enforcement agents that operate within Hamilton County and the city as well. So I definitely validate and understand those concerns. But there's a lot of smart people on council. There's a lot of smart people that work at the law, for the city. I'm sure they can figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But we can discuss that. That's another local matter that people will be discussing. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Tracy Hunter. And Tracy Hunter is going to be in studio with me at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Okay? I'm also looking for other guests related to that topic as well. Shout out to Akeem. Appreciate the attempt, man. His nephew is an actor. He starred in the movie Overlord. You got to check it out. Super dope. This young man has a bright future. And he also was one of the stars in the When They See Us Netflix series. So yet another motivation. Check it out. There's a Chopper connection. And he was trying to connect an interview with me, but I did receive the message, and I'll do my due diligence. I have no problem with that. I'll go the Netflix route. You know what I'm saying? Mason Muller writes, morning, Nate in the chop. Let me back up here. Cassandra writes, great risings, beautiful souls. Sorry, I've been MIA. I had a house fire Friday. What? Everyone is safe. Just trying to recalibrate life and move forward. How bad was the house fire? Have you been displaced? Did you hopefully you didn't lose too much stuff, and I hope everybody in your family is okay. I hope you're okay. Man, that is not good news, Cassandra, at all. Mason Muller writes, more than eight in the choppers. It's above me now. Hashtag vote. Ray writes, good morning, all. Good to see everybody. So the day that we have settled down on is July 13th. July 13th from 10 a.m. until approximately 6 p.m. We're going to lead a group of folks to get their CCW license. As I've been saying for some time, black people need to, and my listeners need to be able to protect yourself. Yes, you should use law enforcement. Yes, law enforcement is there, but they're going to show up afterward. And I don't want you to get effed up in the game. You should be able to protect yourself. And you should understand legally how to protect yourself. It's about protecting our property, our lives, our property, and our neighborhoods. And, it's up to us to protect us. And there are already people, I think we definitely hit our quota. We're trying to get at least 15 people. I think we're just about there. But already, there's people hitting me up saying that, hey, Nate, I'm not going to be able to make it on the 13th. Can we do another class? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can all get on par, and then we can get tactical. Okay, so if you're interested, I posted inside the friends page. Hit me up with a DM or an email. My email address is nathansflow@gmail.com. We've got some non-regular choppers who kind of chime in for listening from time to time, who've hit me up, and they are interested in being a part of it as well. So again, July 13th. July 13th. Okay. And it'll be a $75. We might have enough folks to qualify for the $65 per person. And then after that, you'll have everything you need to be legally registered to have a CCW here in Hamilton County and throughout the state of Ohio. Okay, now if you're interested and you live in Kentucky as well, the instructor, I believe yes, he is licensed to do that in Kentucky as well, I believe. Just hit me up and I'll confirm with Brother Johnson. All right? So let's do it. Let's do it. Tracy writes, hi. Jared writes, good morning, Team NI. Ray writes, good morning, all. Majestic writes, good morning, folks. Brenda writes, happy Wednesday, Nate and the Choppers. Happy Wednesday to you. Hey, Corinthia, she writes, morning. Hey, Corinthia, did you get that? That's July 13th. Hopefully that makes your schedule. Right? I want to see all the Choppers there. I want to do it together. I want to do it with you. And I want this to be a kickoff of our movement to take what we have here and project it into Cincinnati in a very positive way. See, I look at this all positive. You know, arming yourself in a legally constitutional protected way is a part of being a good citizen. That's number one. Number two, in terms of natural law, it's a part of making sure that you can protect yourself. And this is not about no cowboy-ish. This is about protection and education for our children and for ourselves. You know, that's how I look at this. And thank you for being part of it. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Thank you so much. You're going to hear Tanika's voice coming very soon. She was nice enough to stop over and do some voiceovers, as well as a few other Choppers as well. So you'll start hearing their voices in and out of our breaks. Thank you so much. It turned out very well. Thank you very much. They say John #Glorious is in the house. Good to see you, Glorious. He writes, back from training and ready for glorious conversation. Yeah, we started already, man. Oh, my God. It's just, John, I know you're the resident law enforcement here. So I know these conversations come up, and I don't know how you feel about it. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, John. I mean, quite honestly, if I was a member of law enforcement and listened to this show, you know, you're going to get a unique viewpoint. And I hope that what you hear is a fair and balanced conversation per the context. I mean, because the context of the relationship about the police and the community is different for the African-American community than it is for everybody else. We have a different relationship, a different history. Okay? Thank you. What's that? Okay. All right. We'll talk during the break. We got any grapes in there? She said no. See how she always hating? Oh, my gosh, man. Women. Oh, my gosh. But I don't know, John. That's an interesting position for you. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hey, good morning to you. Living While Black writes, so do your shows start at 8 a.m. instead of 7 a.m.? Well, I put the word out, Living While Black, just for today's the last day for that. You know, so tomorrow we'll return to our regular schedule, which is at 7 a.m. Sissy Tigers writes, morning. Tiffany writes, good morning, everyone. Thoughts and prayers with your family, Cassandra? Absolutely. Absolutely. I hate hearing anything like that with the Choppers. John #Glorious writes, great advice, Nathan. He writes, here's my advice, don't steal. But you know what, John? You can't hide behind that. You can't hide behind that. It's not fair, because Dan Hills tried to make the same point last night. The point is not whether the little girl was wrong. We all know the little girl was wrong, John. I know the girl was wrong. If that was my daughter, you think I'm going to send my daughter to go steal from Kroger or anybody else? Hell no. Do you think her mother told her to do that? Hell no, her mother didn't tell her to do that. But it's also about the consequences being on par with the offense. And for a little girl that's walking away from an officer, she's probably popping her head or whatever she was doing. She posed no threat to him or anybody else. For him to use lethal measures, John, so we have to agree on this. A taser is lethal measure. Do I need to Google died after being tasing? Because I can already tell you what's going to come up. Hundreds of articles are going to come up, John, where people have been tasered and they die. So tasers are lethal measure. Okay. It's what it is. And I just don't think that a lethal measure should be applied to an 11-year-old who's not posing an imminent threat. And I'll say it again. I'll pay the $51 out of my own pocket. Send me the damn invoice. Send Digital Media will pay for it. So kids don't have to be tasered. Kroger it's not breaking the bank on Kroger. They're not going out of business because she walked away with $51 worth of Grippos. It's a travesty. It's a travesty. It's even more of a travesty when we talk about the context of the neighborhoods that are near that place as well. And we understand that we got some neighborhoods where people who are impoverished. We don't know if the girl was hungry or not. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, if it was my child, I wouldn't want my child to be tasered. So that's the way I look at it. And if it's about disciplining her, well, he could have disciplined her in another way. And it would be nice to know now that this scenario has happened. I'll tell you this much, John. Now that this scenario has happened, there's no excuse for the Cincinnati Police Department to not have a better strategy in place, to not have officers who are better trained or aware of how to deal with a situation like that. And I'll tell you one thing you shouldn't do, John. You shouldn't be tasering children over a bag of food. I don't give a damn. I'm sorry. We should not be tasering children over a bag of food. I don't care if they're stealing it or not. I'll pay for it. I do have a limit on that, but I'll pay for it. And that way our kids don't have to be tasered. They can be disciplined. And we can notify their parents. We can return the items if they're, haven't been destroyed back to the Kroger store. Somebody else can go in and get their bag of Grippos, right? Customers will still get Grippos. And I'm just sorry. Because, and I'm going to tell you something, John. From my observation, I'm not picking on you, but you just started the conversation with me. But from my observation, John, is that this kind of nitpicking and the technicalities doesn't apply when an officer breaks the law, because this officer did not follow procedure. And had he followed procedure, he probably never would have had to taser the girl. Had he said, hey, stop before I taser you, like he's supposed to say, then maybe she would have been like, oh, taser? Let me stop, which is what he said he was trying to do anyway. So was this really about making the little girl stop? Or was this an officer's ego that got involved? I said stop right now. You know how I feel about it. I think it's the latter. It was the second one. Because if it's really about making her stop, then you say, hey, listen, don't get tasered, young lady. If everything was above the board, then why didn't he have his body cam on so we could witness it all? What about those kind of infractions? So we want to hold an 11-year-old girl to the technicality to the law, and then basically we want to give her the fullest extent of the consequences that the law allows, which is physical punishment, which she got. But the officer, we just going to gloss over the fact that this grown man did not do what he was trained to do. And that makes sense to you, John. Come on, bro. That don't make no damn sense to me. That don't make no sense to me. We should hold the grown-ups to a higher standard than children. She's 11. She's 11. Now, what if he tasered her and then we'll find out that she had some kind of irregularity with her heartbeat, and then tasing her shuts her heart off? What we gonna say then? Oops, my bad. We didn't know it was her fault. Oh, she was gonna die anyway. Right? Is that what they would have said? No. You don't have to taser children over $51 worth of Kroger merchandise. Dan Hill said that he didn't think that Kroger was ever going to allow him to work again, which I thought was interesting. So did the Kroger store say, hey, listen, we don't need these kind of officers doing this kind of stuff on our behalf? It sounds like they did. Paid the family off. So it sounds like the actions of this officer was not reflective of the policy or of the values of the store where he was working. So why we keep making excuses for this guy? He did the wrong thing, period. Now, he had an opportunity to make Cincinnati police officers look good. He could have handled that completely different, and it would have been positive press for the city and the Cincinnati Police Department. But Officer Brown didn't do that. He wanted to go all Conan Barbaric on her. I said stop now and all this kind of stuff with no warnings. So I hear what you're saying, B, but no. He was wrong, and we need to rethink who these arbitrators are, because I think that's the tip of the spear part of the argument and part of the problem. I'm not familiar with that process. I've got a vague understanding of it, and I think we need to know more. That's just me personally. Rodney writes, good morning. Tanika writes, "You're welcome, Queen. Please let me know if I can help you with anything you all may need." To Cassandra, that's great. Sissy Tigers writes, "And in the event that one does not at 11 expect to be tased, come on, John." Ray writes, "Dismantle the FOP and start from scratch." I don't think that's going to happen. Sissy Tigers writes, "They don't see their kids when they see ours. So no, he doesn't feel the same." You know, that's why the title of that Netflix series is so dope, because it really gets to the core of the problem. They don't see us the same way. They don't see these black kids the same way. You know, Lynn writes, "Good morning, great people. Speaking of police and black community interactions, here we go again up in Columbus. And the police up in Columbus, man, they on another level up there. And I saw a video within the last 24 hours. Seems like there was an altercation on the street. The police were called into the situation. They were asking people to back up. One brother wasn't backing up. You know, he did the opposite of what Black Lion did. When was it? About a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, after the Ray Tensing verdict. When the police told this brother to back up, he walked forward. He's like, "I ain't backing up." Apparently his family was there. It was a woman, his wife, young child, and he felt as if they were being threatened by the police. And you see another taller officer who happened to be a white male, who is fully armed. He's got a weapon on his holster on his hip, and he's got a shotgun in his hand. He walks over to this black man, pushes him, and just swings on him, slugs him straight in the face. No words, nothing. Just slugs him straight in the face. From what I saw in the video, and I guess I'll go back and look at it, you know, maybe for a third or fourth time. But when I saw the video, I didn't see this man being any particular imminent threat. And you can check it out. I think it was Crystal who posted inside the Friends page most recently, because it's terrible. Those are the reasons why the black community has such a problem with the police, is because of the way that they be acting in the community. It's the truth. And you can talk about black on black crime all you want to, and you can try to talk about the non-snitch and no-snitch culture all you want to, but it's not going to change the history and the facts. Yeah, I mean, again, do we have any takers here that want to be tased today? Just so we can see, you know, if Dan Hill's theory is true, that all you got to do is put a Band-Aid on it afterward, you'll be okay. That's what the Fraternal Order Police president said in a press conference yesterday. Really? And he said that it's right before I got there. And, you know, it's quite interesting, the mentality. Oh, you were stealing something. So what? And? What's your point? As if this is the first time a kid stole something from a store. I mean, it's not right. Nobody's teaching the kids to do it, but I'm thinking that the punishment needs to fit the crime. And how many people think that an 11-year-old should get the death penalty in Cincinnati because they stole $51 worth of stuff, including some Grippos? Raise your hand if you feel that way, because if you do, you're different. You're different. Again, I respect John's opinion. He's got a different opinion. He comes from a different background and experience that I just don't have. So I value that. But today's one of those days. Just one of those days. I see Drops in the house. Good to see you, Drops. Cincy Tigress is in the house. Ray writes, "Nathan, correct at the FOP." Oh, yeah, absolutely. Drop writes, "Nate, have him on your show. Mr. Wayne Messam, Democrat, the other black man running for president, needs some love." Okay. Mike Jones writes, "You got to be a little bitch of a cop to taser a child." Like I said, if I was a police officer, I'm not tasering no children. I could never work for the Kroger store, because if is this what the Kroger store? And again, it appears that the Kroger store has separated itself from this situation. I can't speak for Kroger, but from what I look at, number one, Officer Brown's not going to be working in any Kroger stores in the near future, and the Kroger store paid off the family. So it seems to me that the Kroger store is saying that the actions of this officer is not representative of what they expect an officer to do. And while this officer is chasing down an 11-year-old that stole $51 worth of Grippos, these dog heads is probably still in prime rib. I wonder how much was stolen while this officer was messing around with this 11-year-old in the parking lot. I'm just saying. Everybody talks all that stuff about, oh, well, you do the time, you do the crime, you gotta do the time until you make a mistake. And then when you make a mistake, all you can think about, oh, it's my first time, and I'll never do this again, and, give me leniency. Yeah, some people do. Oh, you do the time, you do the crime, you gotta do the time. It's illegal until you do something. And then it's like, well, I only flubbed on my taxes just a little bit. Do I really need these harsh penalties from the federal government? Like, damn, I just jaywalked. Nobody was here. Do I really need to have this ticket? Like, damn, I never speed, but this time I'm late to a meeting at work. I was only 7 miles over the speed limit, right? That's how people do it. When it's them, it's all different, right? Oh, special circumstances. But when it's somebody else, oh, we want to throw the book at you, the letter of the law. Come on, man. Oh, man. Sorrento writes, well, let's tell you what. Let me take a quick break and we'll come right back. Live, local, and vocal. This is the Nathan Ivey Show. Don't go anywhere.
No word in English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably?
It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council. No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably?
It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
I'm getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher. Be my teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you?
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you. I dare you.
I dare you.
I'm waiting.
masses, ready to rock. Nathan Ivey with you. 513-873-7134. If you hear something that gives you a reason to give us a call, feel free to do so. So far we've been talking about a lot of local issues, local to Cincinnati, that is. And I want to continue that conversation and read the comments from the choppers. A Cincinnati police officer was was reimbursed for 7-day suspension that he earned after he tasered a 11-year-old black girl. The officer involved is black as well. And apparently he lectured her about her sins and that her kind of actions lead to grocery stores not being in the black community. And I don't know if that's true. Where the hell did he get that from? Who told him that? Is Officer Brown privy to information that we aren't? Well, as an officer, I wouldn't be surprised, but I've never seen that before. So we're living at a time where you got opium heads, opioid abusers that will break into people's property and steal all the copper out. So if they're willing to do that, what do you think they're doing at a Kroger store? I've been in a Kroger store and seen people get stopped. And it's hard to judge a book by its cover, but they look opioid-ish, if that makes any sense. I'm just saying. But it's the little black girls stealing $51 worth of Grippos. I offer my services freely. You know, myself, Central Media, we will pay for the $51. So that way Kroger store gets reimbursed. The kid can still get, whatever consequences they got to deal with. Because I'm not suggesting there shouldn't be any consequences for somebody who steals. That's all a part of life lessons. Everybody's stolen something at some point. I don't give a damn who you are. Stop trying to act like you some kind of goody two-shoes. You stole something before. Everybody has. I have. You have. When you was a kid, you did it. It was probably some damn candy. You went to the store and you got two suckers, put one in your pocket, and you paid for the other one. That's stealing. You should be tasered to death. You should be tasered. Also, today, council is apparently, hopefully, going to vote on a measure that will decriminalize the possession for recreational possession or any possession for marijuana. This is a long time coming. I'm going to go ahead and say it. If this was something that affected 82% of white males, it would have already been done. It's racial. It's racial. Yeah, it's looked upon as a black problem, so it's easy to overlook. And I don't care what the boundaries are. It needs to be at least 100 grams. But if they went as high as 500 grams, I'm telling you as a private citizen, it makes no difference. So what? Because this idea, the city council, they think they're more important than they really are. Oh, we don't want to send a message to kids that it's okay to smoke marijuana. Kids ain't paying attention to what the hell you're doing, number one. And number two, they're doing it anyway if they want to do it. Just like underage drinking. You ever heard of it before? Because that's people who are underage, but they want to drink anyway. See, what they do is they underage drink. That's against the law, but people do it. You probably did it. How many people raise your hand if you underage drink? Well, when you were underage, you took a couple of drinks. You knew you was wrong. Maybe you got your family member to give you a beer. Maybe you stole a beer out the freezer. That's Granny's beer. Granny used to love Miller Lite. And you stole you a double deuce one day and went back into your bedroom. Wait a minute, that's my story. Ho, ho, ho. That's my story. Oh, boy, scratch that from the record. You didn't hear it. I say they need to decriminalize this ASAP. Put a age limit like we do everything else, like as if that means anything. And then we move the hell on. Here's a quote from Smitherman, Mr. Smitherman. He said, quote, "The little guys being criminalized with misdemeanors while Wall Street and the suits are making billions of dollars off of marijuana." Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to see the world has caught up. Yeah, this is simple. Quote, "In almost every one of those states, the cap on quantity is 1 ounce," said Mann. "And in most of every one of those states, the minimum age is 21. And in none of them is public use permitted. So you can publicly get drunk and fall on your face as many people do during opening day every single year. That's okay. But you can't publicly get high? It's ridiculous. This is madness. This is sheer madness. So we'll see what happens. They're supposed to hold a big meeting today, a big decision today. We shall see. We shall see. How do you feel about 100 grams, 200 grams, 300 grams? What difference does it make, right? If you don't smoke, it doesn't matter to you. And how many times have you gone to an event in Cincinnati and you smell smoke anyway? Somebody in the crowd blazing up, the wind shifts right past you. You're getting a contact high. Cerintha writes, do they need another big meeting? In my Nathan Ivey voice, right? It's the big meeting. Cincinnati's just a series of big meetings. Come on out to the big meeting, y'all. Oh, man. What are we going to do, folks? Cerintha writes, count me in for the 13th. Got it. Great to hear that. Great to hear that. It's time to represent for ourselves right now. We're going to have to do it. If we's our own worst enemy, then we's our salvation. We're going to do it together. Right here. Right now. CG Dub's in the house. She writes, good morning, Choppers. Good to see you, CG Dub. Faye Rothstein writes, we're overusing the word queen. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I love Queen's Village. And I have no problem referring to women and black women in specific as queens. Because I think we need to balance out all the negative ish that's said about black women. All the damn time. You know what I'm saying? We got to counteract that. We got to counteract that. Let's go to the phones here. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the show.
Shalom. Fame Rothstein here.
What up, Fame Rothstein? Welcome.
Not a whole hell of a lot. I
You
got
okay?
a cough, so pardon me.
Yeah, you want to get some water?
A little bit of a... No, I'm all right.
You sure? Okay, good. Good.
Yeah. I'm reading the conversation, and I can't tell if these sentiments are from 1959 or 2019. Have we not woken up and understood? See, we keep getting fleeced by black leaders and now liberal whites. They continue to fleece us about racism. The fact is, I've been telling you this for 10 years. Racism ain't going anywhere because it's an energy. White supremacy is an energy. You know, just like with physical science, the law of conservation of energy tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. You apply that principle to what we see. Like you said, you can't tell if this is 1959 or 2019 by the way my fellow choppers is talking, because the racism scheme is just continues to change. They further it and better it. At first, you know, they called you, you know, the N-word walking down the street, you know, no problem. And now, you know, all the way up to, you know, then they changed it from there. You know, they moved you on the back of the bus. You know, wouldn't let you up front. Then they changed it from there. They made it impossible or difficult to get home loans and car loans and high interest and things like that. So that's all they're doing. But yet we still keep falling for these same traps. I'm sorry, little girl, don't go stealing. No, what the cop did to you may have not been exactly the right thing to do, but don't go stealing, little girl. And mom, when you come on TV, do something about y'all hair. Don't come out there with look like on TV like that. And tell your daughter don't go stealing when you're on TV. You never mentioned that one time that your daughter was wrong. You understand?
Maybe it got cut because it didn't fit the narrative what the local news channel wanted to put out about her. Maybe that happened.
Point taken. I'll accept that. I'll allow it. You're right. It could have got edited. Okay, but at the same time, how do we still keep falling for this stuff? That's the issue. They run somebody else out there for us every time to be our so-called leader, whether it's Angela Rye, whether it's Sean King, all the way back to, what's his name, Sharpton. You know, they just continue to switch up the scheme on us, and we keep following forward. You know, I'm sorry, you say Tracy Hunter's going to be in studio. Are we allowed to call in? Because I want to ask her, what the hell was she thinking? When it was clear that they didn't want you on that seat from giddy up.
Yeah, you will be able to call in. So I'm going to hold you to it. Make sure you call in tomorrow and you ask that question.
I am. And if she's listening, she got a whole day to prepare an answer. So this better be a pristine A1 answer.
So tells me that no matter what she says, it's not going to be enough for you.
Oh, it's going to be hard to accept, yeah. But again, the young lady that you're talking about, the young lady stealing, you know, the future troublemaker, the future young hussy. You know, why is she behaving like this?
Now, how you going to call this young girl a future young hussy? So you don't believe in redemption? You don't believe that you can learn from a mistake and change your life around?
I knew you would ask me that. And that was a perfect segue into my next thing, how you were crying about what I said about rap music. You know, when I hung up the phone the other day, you sat here and was crying for like a half hour. I understand you was an MC back in the day. We all had a rhyme book, MC Dangerous. You know what I'm saying?
A rhyme book don't make you an MC, I'm just telling you.
Okay, well, whatever. We all had a rhyme book. We all tried to rap. How about that?
What's your point?
You know what I'm saying?
What's your point?
Rap music, you know, when you keep mentioning all these off-brand artists, yeah, that's not what we're doing. We're not talking about them. Again, there's always an exception to the rule. Somebody's got 6 fingers, 6 toes.
And see, that's where your mistake is.
Crazy and whatnot. No, here's your mistake. That's not the rap that's in front of us.
And see, that's where your mistake is. Would you like to hear what your mistake is and your logic?
Go ahead.
You're generalizing. And how you going to generalize an entire genre of music that spans 30 years, going into 40 years, based upon a few people that mainstream media promotes? Come on, man. You better than that. You know rap is deeper than that. You can't talk about rap without talking about Dead Prez. Or at least we shouldn't. We shouldn't talk about rap without talking about Public Enemy. Eurythmics. I'm just saying.
Speaking of Dead Prez, you know, there's been a lot of people who's been dead from rap, and it's got a lot of press. Most notably, Biggie and Tupac. You know, selling out for dollars. You know, you look back, you know, in real time, you're not thinking about this, but then, you know, 20 years later, you look back on it, it's like Sean Combs. What did you have him out in California so soon after Tupac got killed for? What the hell was the purpose of that? You know, there was no.
They had a song called "Going Back to Cali." Remember that? I'm going back to Cali. They had a song called "Going Back to Cali." So it means you have to go to Cali to shoot the video. That's why.
No, you don't. You could did that in Florida and made it look like Cali off the coast. It just wasn't a wise
hip hop is
decision.
about being authentic.
But the point I am making about hip hop is, like I said, there's been probably 10, 15 people who made some real money out of it. 10, 15 black people and about 4 white people who made billions off of it.
Do you have any facts?
Most notably, Jimmy Iovine.
Do you have any facts to back that up?
Well, you know, they all come out with the Forbes hip-hop list. You know, it's the same people on it every year. You know, Drake, Jay-Z, and those 2 guys, Master P, Diddy, all them people.
So let me get this straight, sir. Your logic is that if you're not on the Forbes list, then you didn't make any money on hip-hop. That's your logic.
No, I didn't say you didn't make any money, but you made basic regular money more than likely. You know, most of the, you know, after they take all the advances and taxes and screw you over on the contract, like we've been seeing since New Edition, TLC, since day one, because we keep getting caught up in all the schemes because we don't pay fucking attention to nothing.
I think you're wrong. I challenge your logic about, you know, what hip hop has done for making money for people. I challenge your logic and I challenge your facts on that, because just because you're on the Forbes list don't mean you're not making money. That's like the top of the food chain right there. There's a lot of room between not being on Forbes list and being destitute.
Right, exactly. And you made basic money like a regular worker, most of those people. You know, there's some in-betweens who made like some six figures, some engineers and producers and whatnot. But for the most part, most of these artists made regular, basic worker money. Just had a lot of stuff funded to them. So stop, you know, let's you know, you can quit with the semantics. At the end of the day,
what about all
the
but what about, and again, we can have this debate, but what about all the people that necessarily weren't hip hop artists, but were inspired by hip hop? You got a lot of entrepreneurs out there that were inspired by hip hop. A lot of people that hustled in their respective, you know, whatever their field was. You know what I'm saying? Fueled by the thing that came out of hip hop.
Yeah, exactly. They were fueled by it. And every third 19 to 25-year-old opened up a hip-hop clothing store.
And?
Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just talking about people that's inspired by the energy from hip-hop that necessarily weren't hip-hop MCs. And they use that energy in their respective lane to go on to be successful. I just think that you're wrong when you say that hip hop overall had a negative impact in the community. It sounds very racist. I'm surprised to hear you say that.
No, because I really looking back, it just wasn't. It was we let a wolf in the hen house. Hip hop used to be just about just having a good time with some friends. But like Common Sense said, once the man got to her, he alternated. And it became about moving drugs through state to state. You know, being a sexually promiscuous male, and now the females are doing that, rapping about being sexually promiscuous. It's regressive.
I mean, listen,
but you won't accept that because you still want to rap.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I can't tell you that those critiques aren't true. But if your overall point is that hip hop is more negative than positive, I still disagree with you, man. And you don't have any facts to back up what you're saying.
Well, I have the fact that you agree with my last qualifications. That's enough. You just don't want to accept it. You know, there's some things, you know, you just ain't gonna let go of. You know, Santa Claus exists. You know, the Tooth Fairy. Some people don't like to let go of, you know, the childhood fantasies. And that's what you're doing right now with this hip hop. Accept it. It's bullshit. I'm not, you know, part of the Illuminati, none of that stuff. It's regressive. It has got us in a point that we're at best spinning wheels as a community.
Well, you know what you should do? Don't listen to it.
I don't. I only listen to, I don't listen to it anymore for the most part. I listen to talk radio all day. I'm like the most boring cat. I either got a podcast on or a ball game on.
Okay. Well, at least you're a man of your words then. Now, back to this little girl. That's this little girl. Like I said, no little person, no 11-year-old should get a death sentence because they stole $51 worth of groceries. Period. Across
Nobody
the board.
said that. Nobody said that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Nobody said that. But, you know, let's be better parents. Let them know. You know, let's make better decisions. Let's teach our kids to make better decisions.
I'm not really sure that the incidence of this young girl is a proper reflection on the parenting skills of her parents. I'm going to say that again, because sometimes you teach kids the right thing and they go out and do shit anyway. Everybody knows that. And it becomes a learning kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? And I believe in it.
She stole little hugs on a dare from a younger girl. Come on, man, stop. A younger girl tempted her into that. 2 years younger. You know, I don't like to look at a 9-year-old influence an 11-year-old.
At the end of the day, here's the facts. The facts are is that a grown man tasered a child who was stealing a bag of food. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
All right, then. And that's barbaric. That's barbaric.
At the end of the day, that black officer tried to reach out, you know, and give her a little social education. You know, whether you appreciate the intent or not, he did. You know, his intent was to give her a little bit of a social education, not ridicule her. And he got his money back.
Right. And again, that's because the system is biased toward police officers with these arbitrators. That's why.
Well, I guess we have to accept the fact. Are we going to accept the fact that at least the local arbitrator is biased, shows the equal bias to black officers as he does white officers?
And city council changed the rules. So now we should expect for this not to happen in the near future because they changed the rules of engagement, as a local, governing body should do. They reacted to a situation in real time.
And speaking of city council, will you stay on the air all morning throughout the weed vote this morning?
I haven't planned on it, no.
Oh, no. Are they supposed to get it there at like 9:30?
I'm not sure. I thought it was more like 10, but you might be right about that.
Oh, no, 9:30 is the public
open, right? So you'll get started about 10, right? So I think it's compelling. You think it's that compelling that people want to hear a live broadcast and commentary at the same time? I'm not sure.
Your listeners, yeah.
Okay.
You not read what they be talking about? But here, that call's coming back. I'm going to get off of here and get some medicine up in me, some Theraflu. I'll holler at you. I am.
That man is nuts. He's certifiable. Certifiably nuts. Or not. He might have a great point. You might be like, rack him. We'll go ahead and rack him for the energy and effort he brought. Appreciate the first call for this morning. You got me up until 10 a.m. this morning. So there's Fame making a lot of excuses, and then we delved into some stuff about hip-hop. I think one of the easiest things to do is to criticize what black people do and to criticize what black people created. And black youth created hip-hop, and the older black generation wasn't invested in it. So other forces came in and invested in it and took control of it for a long time. But, I mean, I like to see the quantify. I think hip-hop is no different than any other industry. It's all about the smarts, the intelligence that you bring into it. You know what I'm saying? You can get played in any industry if you don't know what you're doing. Any industry. But let's move on. Let's go back to the phones here. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the show.
What up, though?
What's going on?
Your phone lines wasn't operable yesterday.
Well, that was yesterday. Today we back and better than ever. What's going on?
I don't know about better than ever, but you are back. That's what's up. Touch bases on a couple of your conversation at hand. It's funny. You keep making a point that a little 11-year-old daughter shouldn't lose her life over stealing some food, right? That's the point you keep driving home, right?
Yeah, one of many.
Okay. But you're not driving home that the brother who did it need his ass whooped. He need to be beat down by like 100 brothers. And you're not driving that point home.
Is that how you feel?
You're not making it. That's not how I feel, bro. That's how it is.
Wait. How it is one thing, but I'm asking you, is that what you think should happen?
Bro, did you not hear me?
I want to make sure. I want to clarify.
Are you paying attention?
Are you paying attention?
Yes.
Okay,
well,
so that's what you mean. Okay.
Well,
so, no, it's not a dumbass question. It's a question that leads to another question in a second. But I'm going to let you go. Well, no, it's not because.
Let's move on. Bro.
Well, hold on, sir.
Question.
We ain't going to move on. You already know how this goes. So, you just said something. I told you. No, okay, well, let me show you how it's not a dumbass question. So, you called up and said that this officer should have his ass whooped. I asked you straight up. Is this how you really feel? You telling me, yeah. Then go do it. Let me see. Well, hold on, tough guy. Then go do it. If that's how you feel, go get 100 guys and you go try it and see what happens. Tough guy.
And I think I am. I think that's what I'm going to do.
I'm willing to bet you won't, and I hope you don't. But when you call in here, I'm going to hold you accountable to what you say, sir. Go ahead. So go ahead. The floor is yours. I want to make that point. You talking ish and ain't going to do a damn thing, and you shouldn't actually.
You a damn lie. I'm about to roll on this cop. I'm going to find him. I'm going to make a video. I'm going to show you a bitch-ass made brother.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the end of our call. I mean, let me show you how much of a bitch-ass brother I am. Because I ain't going to take the disrespect. But listen, if that's how you really feel, go do it and see what happens. And I ain't talking about posting no video, because you said this man should have hands put on him. Go do it. Tough guy. You super tough and you super black man, then go do it. Don't call me and tell me about it, because I don't have nothing to do with it. That's you. Stop selling wolf tickets. All that tough talk don't mean nothing to me or the community. Nobody cares. So if that's how you feel about it, then you should go do something about it then. You should go do something about it. No, sir. Call me back another day when you feel like you could be being more respectful to a black man and to black people. I don't want to hear all that. I didn't wake up the morning to hear that. So call me back tomorrow when you got a better handle on your emotions. But what you have today is you have a mission. Go do it. And I don't want to hear no video where you asking him questions because that's not what you said. So stop selling wolf tickets with people that's going to stop, and I'm going to stop the whole game and hold you accountable to it. Now, I don't recommend that you do that. But since you bold enough to say it and you talk so tough, then go do it then. Go do that. Since you're that guy. And then we can have a conversation. Until then, you're fraudulent. I don't believe it. Now, I recommend personally that you do not do that. But man to man, since you talk so tough, then you go do it and show me what that looked like. Talking about what should happen. Please. Stop it, kid. Let's move on here. The line's available. 513-873-7134. We had to let him go. You know, he was going down the wrong track. We ain't got time for it. It's being widely reported that the officer, this is a black male officer, who tasered a 11-year-old black girl, and he was given criticism by the chief. He was reprimanded and given a 7-day suspension. Well, the arbitrator involved, that officer will now get reimbursed for those 7 days, and city council and local government they've redrawn the line, so to speak, in terms of the engagement. Now, the officer, as I understand it, admitted that he did not follow procedure. And that's not a small thing. That's a big matter. And Black Lion still calling back. Oh, man, that's funny. It's over with, B. I already told you, man. The moment the disrespect and that nonsense come out your mouth, that's the last time we talking today. We'll talk to you another day or some days from now. You can calm down. And we both know that you know how to conduct yourself, because I saw a video where you was talking so nice. This is why it's amazing. I'm a black man. You want to talk crazy to me, but the white male authority figure that was in front of your face, oh my God, you was telling jokes. So go do it, tough guy. And we'll see what happens. But again, personally, I recommend you don't. I recommend you do not do that. It's going to end very badly for you. Let me see here. So the officer involved will get 7 days of his suspended, pay reimbursed to him. It looks like he's not going to be working for the Kroger store. I wonder why. If Kroger was so proud of what he did, why is he going to be working for them? Because they probably don't want to be involved with him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how do you feel about going into a Kroger store and there's Cincinnati police officers there doing security? How do you feel about that? Should we have some say-so in that? Maybe we don't want the people that we pay as taxpayers to police our streets to also be security guards in grocery stores. I mean, why do we have to just assume that's the way it's got to be? Somebody writes, I'm totally against police brutality, but I don't think this case was that. She was acting a fool. Bob writes, girl who stole from Kroger's and got tased and paid $200,000. The officer gets his pay in the job he did, for the job he did. So I can't believe that. I'm totally against police brutality, but I don't think this case was that. She was acting a fool. Well, black folks are always acting a fool. Yeah. Whether you don't back up fast enough because the officer tells you, or in this case, you're walking away from an officer, pose no threat to him with some food. She was probably laughing and just ignoring him, and he got caught up in his feelings, and his feelings superseded the procedures. That's when people keep glossing over. He did not follow procedure. What is the point of having a taser use of force procedure if you don't follow it? What's the point? On your job, if you don't follow procedure and it leads to some kind of big-ass public incident that ends up costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars, what do you think is going to happen? And you know the procedure, but you forgot. What's the use of having body cameras if the officers can just say, oops, I forgot to turn it on. Oops, I didn't know it was off. Then why do we need it? It's just a game, though. It's like an illusion. Really, body cam is to exonerate officers. Let's call it what it is. For all intents and purposes, that's what it feels like it ends up doing. Exonerating officers. That's what it did with Ray Tensing. When we saw the video of him killing Sam DuBose because Sam DuBose was shaking in his boots, scared to hell, had no idea why he was being harassed, got this officer talking sarcastic and slick and greasy to you. He gets scared out of his mind, tries to drive away, not drive toward the officer, but drive away from the officer. One to the dome on video. And the video was used to exonerate him. So I'll say it again. To me, it seems like the modern day usage of the body cam is not to correct officers. It's to exonerate them. So why did he turn it off? Or why didn't he turn it on? Maybe that's the question. I don't know. Again, I'll say, what's the use of having a policy and procedure if officers can just arbitrarily decide to do what they're going to want to do whenever they want to do it? Well, I guess I turn the body cam on today. I guess I'll give you a warning. You know what? You're not going to get a warning. If ever anyone in the world was supposed to get a warning before they get tasered, wouldn't you believe that children would be top of that list? Because I believe so. I believe so. Fame has completely changed his story. Yeah, Fame. When we first had this conversation, he was 100%. The officer was right. The little girl was wrong. Now his story's completely changed. He wants to talk about hip hop. Mike Davis writes, rise and shine, young stars. Serenthia writes, excessive force is just that, excessive force. The fact that Dan Hills chose to use that moment to try to spotlight how risky their job was, going to garner support within the Blue Lives Matter poster hanging in the backyard, propaganda at its finest. Yep, I agree. And there's elements of local media that are complicit in it. They sit back and say nothing. Let me see. Serenthia writes, I bet you won't catch a Black Lives Matter poster in the background of an interview. That was the first time I've ever been in an FOP lodge. I think it's 69. It's over on Central Parkway. And the door was locked, so I had to knock on the door, even though it was a public event. They have a secretary actually inside, and they kind of buzz you in with a closed circuit camera, which I understand in these times. I mean, you know, it's people out there that do dumb stuff with police. You already know it. So I get it. So, you know, as you're walking in, I mean, you know, I didn't really think about it, quite honestly. Now, I was just trying to get to the interview, and I was coming in late, and as I came in, there was cameras set up. Again, I posted a video, tried to go more live, but the feed was getting interrupted. And I'm like, damn, do they have like a signal breaker or something in there? I don't know. But I found it very difficult to find, to keep the live broadcast going. So I took a series of videos. Then I wanted to get much closer to Dan Hills and ask him some direct questions, right, in a way that nobody else in the room was willing to do. Although I have to say there was a white guy from the Inquirer who was there who was asking some real ass questions. I have to be fair. He was asking some real questions. I don't know if they made the local media because I didn't see everything, but he was asking some good questions. And I was glad to see it. And he was asking them in a way that I wouldn't. I would just be a little more blunt with it. But he was very cleverly asking these questions. And he asked Dan Hills one question and made Dan Hills do the yabba dabba do it. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I'm like, okay, like this guy. I don't even know who he is. Then I had to roll out of there and pick up the Sonny, unfortunately. Fame writes, accepting the officer's mistake for not being concerned at the theft will continue the cycle of black pain and poverty. We can't control police, but we can't control our children. Well, again, I reject your narrative. I know plenty of black people, and all the black people I know are not on no thieving. They're not thieves. They don't teach their kids to be thieves. They're law-abiding citizens that teach their kids to be law-abiding citizens. Okay, I was taught that well. When I was younger, I went to a corner store over in Walnut Hills and got caught stealing. I think it was some candy or something. And I never forget, I was scared out of my mind. I was afraid he was going to call my folks. I was scared. And it was a black guy who caught me, and he was very upset with me. He was very upset, and he was disappointed as well. I could see it in his eyes. He gave me a stern talking to. He was holding on to me very, very tightly. And he told me the next time, don't come back in that store again, because the next time he did, I was going to call the police. And he never called my folks. And I never told my folks till I got older. And that was pretty much I didn't want to go any further. I did some other stuff too, because kids do stuff. And, I can't speak from a girl's mentality, but from a young male mentality, young king mentality, it's kind of like, I want it. So I can understand those feelings. And I wasn't a bad kid. I just did some dumb stuff. Should I have been executed on the spot and tasered? I don't think so. I don't think so. We need to look at other people's kids the way we look at our kids. And the first thing I do when I see children, I think about my own kids. What if that was my child? If little Buddha goes to steal something, she has to deal with the consequences of her actions, period. It's my job to make sure those consequences are measured to what her consequence is. You ain't going to just do anything to her now. I don't care what she did, right? And that's natural. We all feel that way about our children. So I feel that way about other people's children. I don't have to know this little girl to have compassion for her. I don't know what the situation is. But it wasn't like she walked in there with a mask on her face and pointed a gun at everybody. Then she deserves to be tasered. It wasn't like he was trying to stop her and she picked up a knife or picked up some rocks and was trying to get physical. Then she deserves to be tasered. But if an 11-year-old girl is walking away from you with $51, I would have went in my pocket and paid for it. We got you. And/or I would have followed her, right? Taking a photograph of her. You know, they got videos in there. I'd have put a video up, take a snapshot of it, put it right there on the bulletin board. Listen, do not serve this child. Okay, you can put that. Think about what that would have played out on the news. They got videos inside the Kroger stores. They could have took those videos, put it straight up there on Crime Stoppers. This little girl walked into the store and stole something. You know damn well somebody would have been like, oh, that's such and such. The people at her school, they could have got this girl without tasering her. But you have to care. You have to actually see her as a little girl and not a part of some larger problem that's the reason why, Kroger stores are closing. You got to see her as a human being and not some kind of neighborhood societal scourge that's leading to food deserts. And that's what the officer did wrong. And that's just my take on it. I don't have to be right, but I don't have to be wrong either. Drop Rice, Nate, maybe you should go to these schools where these kids are and talk to the youth about other alternatives to stealing from stores. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's necessary. I think that's racist to think that all of a sudden we got to teach black kids how not to steal. It's racist. Black kids already know that. White kids steal things too. I don't need to go to the schools and teach that to black kids. They already got role models and they got mothers and fathers that's teaching them that. And again, I think it's racist to believe that this mother did not teach her kid not to go to Kroger's and steal. I think that's racist. Like, come on, y'all, we got to have a conversation with the community. Don't steal. We don't have to do that. Stupid. It's a waste of time. We already got it. One little girl made a mistake. I think that Kroger, what they should do is put out some statistics as to who's actually being stopped stealing what. Something tells me you're going to find a lot of older, grown-ass adults, non-black adults as well, who are stealing from the Kroger store. And they're doing it because of drugs. It's drugs. That's what's happening. Man, I seen a grown woman get stopped. She had all kind of meat and all kind of stuff in her pants, in her bra, all kinds of stuff. She wasn't no damn kid. She was a grown-up. Stop blaming black kids. This is the world that we created for them. We created the world for them. They didn't create it for us. TNT writes, good morning. Majestic writes, more like Confederate flag or swastika in the background. Well, it was the FOP lodge. So, that interior is going to reflect their values and what's important to them. And, it is what it is. Drop writes, are you taking call this morning? Yes, I am. Serenity writes, but he did do what he was trained to do. The I'm sorry for 2019 back pay package said it better than Ruben stuttered. TNT writes, and most importantly, she was no threat. The use of excessive force should be to disable or stop a threat. An 11-year-old girl shoplifting is not a threat, right? See, we live in a world now where if you commit any offense, people don't care what happened to you. Had this little girl died, I guarantee you, people like Fame and others would have been like, well, she should have been stealing. And I think that's ultimately a self-destructive mentality. And that's the reason why we see people being brutalized, because it's kind of like, oh, well, you committed a crime. Man, somebody stole something from me one day. I was so mad. Yeah, give him a death penalty, right? Everybody's acting off emotion rather than logic. But that's just my take on it. Bunky writes, John, how do you feel about the Minnesota cop being put in jail for fearing for his life? Fame writes, accepting the officer's mistake, but not being concerned that the thief will continue the cycle of black pain and poverty. Yeah, I think I read that nonsense already. John writes, okay, Majestic, I'm working. Repeat the question. I'm thinking they're pulling John into the conversation. Oh, boy, it's getting a little confrontational. John writes to Mike Davis, if me saying obey the law scares you, maybe you should retire from whatever you do, in quotes. Oh, boy. Mason Marler writes, so the police can arrest a white kid who just killed 17 of his fellow students without incident. But our local police can't arrest an 11-year-old stealing snacks. GTFOH. And we have people in here caping for the police? I mean, I have no problem caping for police when they're doing the right thing. But in this instance, this officer did not do that. I bet you that if you had 10 black officers and you asked them all, what would you do? That not all of them are going to do what this man did. You know, I can think of a couple of officers who I'm not sure what they would have done, but I don't think they would have tasered a child because they have children. I don't know. Like, again, there's a difference between things you can do and things you should do. There's a lot of things you can do, but you shouldn't. And that's the measure of maturity, being comfortable with yourself, being secure with yourself. Make the kid work at the store for the items stolen. I'm cool with that. She can bag groceries for 5 hours, $10 an hour. Boom, pro bono, there it is. You volunteering today, boo. Majestic writes, where are the talking points? Justine DeMond should have done what she was told. And OTR Noor wouldn't have gunned her down. DeMond caused her own death. What? Nate, you are on one this morning. No public weed smoking? You already can't smoke cigs in most public areas. I didn't say anything about not being able to smoke in public. It doesn't bother me. If I don't have my kids, it don't really bother me. I mean, you know, I'm not really in the mood for it. I don't want to smell like it. You know, it gives me a headache. But if I'm with my kids, I'm more worried about their health. But it doesn't bother me if people smoke. I get more upset about cigarette smokers than I do marijuana smokers. Because cigarette smoke, that gives you that deadly secondhand smoke. People can smoke openly in public. I tell you what I hate, and I hate when employers allow the employees to do this. You ever went into an establishment and there's people standing outside with uniforms on and maybe just a T-shirt or an apron or some other kind of way to signify that they work for, to signal that they work for this particular establishment, right? They're standing outside the door, like right as you walk in, smoking cigarettes. Doesn't that defeat the purpose? You know, you should have to go over there. You should have a spot over by the trash cans. That's what I think. I think that the designating smoking spot should be right next to the trash can. You know why? Irony. Because now they can experience what everybody else has to deal with. Go stand over there next to that stinking ass pile of trash. And when the wind blows your way, it can hit your nostrils. Just like we have to do. When you're sitting there stinking like nicotine, and I'm trying to walk into the establishment. Nothing spoils my appetite more than a lung full of nicotine. Thank you. Right as I'm going in here to eat. Appreciate it. Ray writes, white supremacy is $1 trillion business. Is that right? $1 trillion business. Dee Dee writes, Uncle Ruckus, or is it just me? The little girl, Tracy, he is one of those, my name is Toby from the jump. Dee Dee Williams writes, that caller is reason number 125,548, while we can't get anywhere as people. Shaking my head. I agree with you on that one. Fame is out there on some we's our own worst enemy type stuff today. He's blaming this 11-year-old girl, and she should be blamed for her actions. She stole something. I'm not trying to lessen that. But the consequence should not be a taser. That's all I'm saying. And sometimes the second wrong can overlook the first wrong. Like, she was wrong in what she did. But the officer was so wrong in his reaction to what she did that everybody's focusing on it. Officer Brown could have been a hero for Cincinnati. Officer Brown could have offered a really cool, special moment for the Cincinnati Police, and he didn't do that. And if you're a member of law enforcement, you should think about that. You have an opportunity when you're out there representing, law enforcement in the community. And you could either be working for the betterment, for a good public image, or you might not give a damn like Officer Brown. I don't know. Mike Jones writes, but Tenzing was locked up at John. You think that's a coincidence? More going in. Pamela writes, I almost never agree with Fame, but I agree when hip hop first started, it used to be fun. It wasn't as serious. I understand the artists did use that platform to get their message across, like police brutality and such. But when it talks about hoes and bitches and how many females they going to have sex with, it lost my attention. Pam, listen, like I said, hip hop, like everything up, is open for a lot of criticisms. But just like we don't all look alike in the black community, not all hip hop artists are alike. And that's what I'm trying to tell people. I listen to the kind of hip hop that I like. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to listen to the, as you put it, the bitches and the hoes. Okay? There's so much out there. But if you're sitting back waiting for your local radio station to educate you about indie artists or artists that they're not playing, it's just not going to happen. And so you get a false sense of what's really out there. I've been having this conversation for years. You can do your hip hop the way you want to do it. There's so many more artists out here. Just tap into the kind of artist. Like I said, for folks who are in an inspirational rap, check out Lecrae. Lecrae is super dope. Inspirational hip hop artist, but he also talks about real life stuff that really matters, social, political stuff as well. I like him. That's just one artist. Check it out. There's a lot of people out there. But hip hop is no different than any other entertainment platform. Entertainment platforms, when humans are involved, you're always going to have your malt liquor of anything. Like, how many people like malt liquor? Okay, right. There's a lot of people that don't drink malt liquor at all. That's just not your thing. But it is available. And it's cheap. It's a cheap high. Entertainment's no different. You got some hip hop that's nothing more than a cheap high. And you got some hip hop that's got a lot more quality and substance. And we shouldn't generalize all of it just based upon the malt liquor. That would be like generalizing alcohol, saying all alcohol is malt liquor. No, it's not. There's all kinds of forms of alcohol. There's all kinds of forms of hip hop. And just like when you go to the store to get your bottles, or wherever you get your bottles, you might like a daiquiri. You might like champagne. You might like a wine. You might like red wine. You might like white wine. It's a lot of different things. You might like, your favorite brewery here. They got your favorite brewery, your favorite blend, if that's the right term, which I don't think it is, right? Hip hop's no different. It's a la carte. Get what you like. You don't want it, don't eat it. Don't eat it. Mike Jones writes, are you an atheist at Drop? You're all about self. Living While Black writes, and here comes the headache. Oh, boy, you talking about Black Lion? He was on and off for a little while. He ain't lasting too long lately. Hey, Nate, did you do one push-up or did you reach out to Netflix Public Relations for that interview? I did more than one push-up, and I'm going to reach out to Netflix. I want to make sure I got the right number. I think I have. I'll reach out to them today, man. Appreciate it. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I don't mind putting a request in. All they can say is no. Shit. That's it. Let me see here. Tracy writes, Casey, what I miss? Mike Davis writes, what's the solution? Rewrite the Constitution. Rewrite the Constitution. Oh, my God. Who's going to lead that charge? Let me see here. Let's see here. I saw a white male at the Mount Airy Kroger trying to something the workers and security hemmed him up. Rushed him at the glass doors. Then they pulled ribs, Mets, lunch meat, wieners out of his backpack. Then they let him go. See you, Angela's in the house. Good to see you, Angela. TNT writes, I hate it. I saw a group smoking outside, and when I drove up to the drive-thru and they thought they were going to serve me with those stale cigarette hands, I just pulled off right. I've seen, I saw that the other day, to be honest with you. I think it was the McDonald's over on Ridge. I just happened to be driving by, right? I wasn't planning on stopping there. I was literally driving by. I was driving back to the Cincinnati area, the city area, downtown city area. And so it was on my left-hand side. I looked over. I think it was at a light or something. It was 3 people in McDonald's uniforms sitting right outside the door, talking, laughing, and smoking. And I'm thinking to myself, where the hell is the manager? It's nothing like having to walk through a big plume of toxic air to set the mood for your lunch, right? Nothing like it. Oh, man, got that good nicotine flavor on my curly fries, on my hot fries. Great. Can I get a Big Mac? No pickles, heavy on the nicotine, please. Appreciate it. Where are these? I see it all the time. That is not the place for you to be smoking. Karamia writes, good day, Glenn. Isn't that where white people, pedophiles, sexual assaults their children in church and school? Uh-oh. Bunky writes, Lecrae sound a little gay. What? Lecrae sounds gay. He's not gay. I don't think. I don't know. I think he was married. I think he's married. But even if he is, that's his business. Tracy writes, malt liquor, LOL. They still selling that mess? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. $1.75. You can get it. Tiffany writes, the rule with hip hop, do not listen to what is played on the radio. They only put on the music that dumbs us down. Money goes in clothes. Money holes in clothes, drug dealing. You have to seek out the so-called good hip hop music. Right. Right. Just like anything else, you got to seek out the good anything in America. I will say this. Millions of people listen to their radio stations and will continue to listen to their radio stations. I was talking to somebody about radio and the future of radio locally. It was right after, some of the media moves where you had a radio station that kind of changed their format to what people said they wanted. And he was like, yeah, man, radio's dying out. And I'm like, no, radio is not dying out. Radio is stronger than it's ever been. Millions of people turn on the radio every single day. That's not the issue. The issue is that the digital landscape is growing. It's growing. More and more people going on YouTube. More and more people going straight to Facebook. More and more people going straight from their websites and things like that. That's what terrestrial radio has to deal with. It's not necessarily one show. It's the sum total of what the internet and digital media has to offer that's going up against, terrestrial radio dials. The other thing about it is, urban radio, like Radio 1 was super slow to adopt the internet. Not until it took them a while to catch up, right? And, they're on point now, but a lot of radio stations were really slow to start putting stuff on the internet because they didn't think it was going to really pop off. And I know it sounds ridiculous now, right? But I'm telling you, having been in the industry for over 20 years, there was a time when you had the biggest radio stations and they weren't doing anything on the internet whatsoever. And, I just see an explosion in digital assets. And that's why I say it again. I just love digital media, love coming from the internet with you every single day. Mike Davis writes, Dead Perez is good hip hop. Yes, it is. Ray writes, who's immune from vices? No one I know, whether it's smoking, drinking, shopping, eating, judge, free zone. Right. I don't judge other people. You do you, I do me. I'm a live and let live kind of person because I understand how humans are. Everybody's, as Ray put it, everybody's got their vices, their things that they like or their creature comforts or whether you like to closet eat or, whatever you into, man. Listen, you're only here for a short time. Live your life, man. Live your life. Don't let other people try to tell you how you should be and what you should do and how you should think and all this kind of stuff. Everybody got an opinion. And that's great. But who gives a damn about opinions about you? Right? You know you better than anybody else. I would think. I know me better than anybody else does. I love it when people try to tell me what I'm going to think. Really? Go ahead and tell me what I'm thinking right now. And they always get it wrong. Every single time. Jump inside the Friends page. You can check out this video of this officer. He just slugged the hell out of this dude. And I think it was unnecessary. All it did was escalate the situation. Also, what else here? As a black man, I understand why Democrats don't want to impeach Trump. Is that right? Is that right? Speaking of Kroger, do you remember down in Kentucky where 2 black people were killed by a white man who was looking to kill black people? And apparently he has been found incompetent to stand trial. There's a link inside the Friends page. You can check it out right now. He's been found incompetent to stand trial. He was charged with the killing of 2 black shoppers at a Louisville, Kentucky grocery store. And he was ruled to be incompetent. Gregory Bush, he killed 2 individuals, both black. Maurice Stollard, 69. And he killed Vicky Lee Jones, 67, back on October 24th of 2018. So this just underscores the necessity for us all to make sure that we are proficient with our firearms. Again, I do this in the spirit of defense. I do this in the spirit of making sure that, all of us, have the necessary tools to make sure you go home to your family every single night. And situations like this are in my mind. You go from shopping at Kroger to now you're dodging bullets. And apparently he attempted to enter a black church. Yeah, he was going to kill a lot of black people at church and decided to go to Kroger and just start opening fire. Matter of fact, remember there was an audio clip, the video of when he was in, allegedly he came across a white man and the guy told him, hey, I ain't looking for killing no white people. We can't shoot one another. We got to look out for one another. So now he's mentally incompetent. He wasn't mentally incompetent when he was looking for black people to shoot and kill, and then he actually did it. So that meant he was mentally incompetent when he did that. Oh, my gosh, man. Excuses. All I see is excuses, folks. Sorrentha writes, how come all the white murder suspects need mental evaluation, but black folks that commit murder is charged with no mental evaluation? Good point. TNT writes now they want to recognize someone's mental health. How convenient, right? Very convenient. Very convenient. Very convenient. All right, they said this meeting was going to start. Let's see if I can find something here. Down at City Hall was going to start at about 9:30 this morning. They're going to be debating the decriminalization of marijuana in the city of Cincinnati, which is long overdue. I think it all comes down to the amount in terms of grams that you're going to be able to have on you legally. And again, as a private citizen, I'm struggling to figure out why we have to have any caps whatsoever. I'm struggling. And here we are, damn near close, very close to just recreational use across the board. I mean, we're very close to that. Don't you feel like that? I feel like we are. Let me see if I can pull some of this audio in here. Okay, it's going to start tune in at 10 a.m. for live coverage of Cincinnati City Council. So I can see that there's various council members there. I see Tamaya Denard. Who else do I see? She's the only one I can make out so far. Looks like I see Jeff Pastor and Mr. Smitherman as well. And I see what appears to be, that might be PG Sittenfield and also Chris Silbach. I see the mayor. They're all kind of walking around. So things are going to get started in about 9 minutes. And they're going to start with the public testimony. And I'm not planning on carrying it and giving you content and commentary at the same time. What I want to do is want to remind you, I've put it up and it's inside the Friends page. If you are interested, let me turn this down. If you are interested in being a part of our CCW class, that's the Nathan Ivey Show and Represent Now PAC. If you'd like to be a part of it, CCW class, the opportunity will be on July 13th, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The cost at this point will be $75. It actually might go down to $65. And we need to make sure we get all the registration in at least 1 week before the class. And let me know if you are interested. Okay, we want to move on this now. We've been talking about it. Let's put it in action. Okay, I want this to be the summer of action. Great post by Jesse. An article from 2017, the age of Trump is producing more black gun owners. Well, so that's how the white people felt. Remember, we had all these white Americans after Obama was elected that were buying guns at a record pace because they felt like, you know, the big story was that Obama was going to ban their guns or something like that. And, of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Obama never came for your guns. He was coming for your heart. Right? He was coming for the heart. He just couldn't reach America. Couldn't reach him. Ray writes, no, Fame writes, rap music began to celebrate nonsense. The talk show host is unwilling to face that fact. No, only elements of hip-hop began to celebrate nonsense. And that's what you are unwilling to face, the fact. For whatever reason, and we do this all the time in the black community, we want to stigmatize and generalize. But what I'm here to tell you is that there's a lot of modern-day hip-hop artists that have messages in their music that matter to real people. I'm just telling you. I could run through a list real quick, but I'm not going to do that. Joe Sample Music, they have class. I'm not sure. Citizens spoke at 9:30. They're going to reconvene at 10 a.m. Okay, thank you so much. Sorrento writes, many people in the black community suffer from PTSD, and no one is psychologically evaluating them to see if they are competent to stand trial. They're discharged as such, right? Right. You know, and no one wants to know whether you have some kind of psychological issues, and nobody cares whether you're addicted to drugs unless you're on opioids. If you're on opioids, oh my God, let's resuscitate. You okay? You sure? You okay? You sure? You sure? Okay, see you later when we have to resuscitate you back to life again. For the brothers and sisters, it's, you shouldn't have done this. Why did you break the law? You know the law. Come on, your mama should have taught you better, see? And I'm not going to play that game. I'm not going to stereotype what we built, our culture, just because that's what they do when they don't see us. I'm not going to do it. I'm very surprised at Fame. He's very myopic this morning. Very myopic this morning. It's different. TNT writes, he wasn't incompetent when he told the white guy, whites don't kill the whites. Sounds like an orchestrated plan to me. TNT, I made the same exact point. He seemed to know right and wrong when he was picking the difference between black people and white people. He knew right from wrong when he told that white guy, hey, don't worry. Hey, you got a gun? Hey, I won't shoot you if you don't shoot me because we're white. Now, all of a sudden, he's incompetent. And that's because I think there's a push to try to make it seem like when people have these racist extreme views that they're crazy, as opposed to that's just the energy, to use Fame's point, that they have inside of them. Think about it. Think about it. Let it sit in. It will be time for the Cancerian nation to stand up. Let's see here. Currently 9:55 a.m. in the Queen City. Who got to Fame? Clearly, you're in a sunken place. Yeah, Fame's in a sunken place right now. I'm not sure what happened to him because he sounded nuts. I see Greg Landsman has now showed up. They're going to be debating this. This is big. I think this is a big step. And whether it's 100 grams or 200 grams or whatever grams it ends up being, I think it'll be a step in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? Let officers focus on real crimes instead of the petty crimes like marijuana crimes. That's it. Man, there's a lot of officers, man. Captain Mike Savard has retired from the Cincinnati Police following federal charges. What was Captain Mike Savard doing? Majestic, if I'm in a sucking place, you're not listening. No, we're listening, but you're in a sucking place, Fame. You've been in a sucking place ever since that little girl was tasered. Ever since then, you just been on a one long, just journey downward into the sunken place. You know it and I know it, and I'm glad that Majestic called it out. Catching up here to what people have been posting before we roll out of here. I may be mistaken, but I don't see this in other communities, especially recent time. Okay, let me think. Anybody? And then there's a meme. At the top it reads, "This isn't funny anymore." And there's a series of black comics and we'll say black men who are entertainers who've all played roles where they had to dress up as women. And people have been talking about this for a long time, about the feminization of black men and how these brothers who get up on the screen and they play women, even if it's a joke, are having a negative impact on, I guess, on the collective psyche of the black community. But I don't know, man. I mean, what about Mrs. Doubtfire? Mrs. Doubtfire, that was Robin Williams, white guy. I can't think of anything else. You got me there. I think you got a point there. I can't think of anything else. You got me. The only one I can think of is Mrs. Doubtfire. Fame writes, there will be an arrest next week involving Warner Hills prom, according to my detective friend. There will be an arrest next week involving the Warner Hills prom. So there was a threat that was made allegedly by a student. And you're telling me that's what you're talking about there? Angela writes, the CPD Vice Squad is under federal investigation. What's that all about? Karamia writes, wasn't Robin Williams gay anyway? I believe so. So you're saying that doesn't count. So we only want, what about Tu Wong Fu? So in Tu Wong Fu for Love, and that's the movie in which Wesley Snipes dressed up like a woman, but he wasn't alone in that movie. I believe that Patrick Swayze was in that movie. Hold on, let me look it up real quick. Tu Wong Fu. Why is that in my Wong Fu? I'll tell you why. Because when this movie came out, I was on the air in public radio, and it was highly, highly, highly debated. It was highly, highly debated. Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. That's the name of the movie. And it had Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo. Okay, so it was three of them. And they all sort of dressed up like women. I don't know why. I don't know if they were all drag queens or something like that. Or here's what it says on Wikipedia. Elite Manhattan drag queens Vita Bonheim, played by Patrick Swayze, and Noxzema Jackson, played by Wesley Snipes, impressed regional judges in Noxzema Jackson? I don't know what's worse. And then John Leguizamo played Chi-Chi Rodriguez. So there it is. You had a black man. That's intersectionality for you. Black man, a man of, I don't know if he's Hispanic or not, descent, John Leguizamo, and then Patrick Swayze, who played in the movie, I don't know what it was called, Dance or something like that. I know he was in Ghost. So there it is. He wasn't gay. So there it is. White men have to dress up like women too in order to get past the gate in Hollywood. So there it is, Patrick Swayze. TNT writes, my boy Patrick Swayze played a woman in Big Trouble in Little China. King Koblat writes, fake news at Warner Hills prom, right? Jesse Kirk writes, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, Some Like It Hot. I remember that movie because it also had, what was the woman's name? Marilyn Monroe played in it. You know what I'm saying? She was supposed to be like the hot thing. I remember seeing that movie. I remember watching that movie many times, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. And I think they were both heterosexual and they were both trying to hit on her, but I don't know. But that's a good point, though. Good point. Drop writes, Adam Chandler as Jill Saddlestein in Jack and Jill in 2011 in the intro. Barry Watson as Daisy in Sorority Boys. Cillian Murphy as Patrick Kitten Braden in The Breakfast on Pluto. He's got a whole list. Noxzema. Angela writes, the plan is for black men and boys to be emasculated and provide feminization imagery in Hollywood in part of the tactics. Yeah, that's what people said. A lot of people still feel that way. Now, I remember watching a lot of those shows I've seen on characters. I've never had any desire to dress up as a woman because I saw Jamie Foxx dress up like a woman when he was doing Shanae. I don't think it works that way. I think that if you already feel that inside of you and then you see it on the screen, it'll help to bring it out more. But if it's already inside of you, Majestic writes Dirty Dancing. Yeah, thank you for that. How'd I forget that one? I think if it's inside of you, then maybe it can help you to understand what you're feeling. But if it's not in you, it's not in you. Angela writes, I don't find it entertaining under any circumstances. Pamela writes, Robin Williams was not gay. John Leguizamo played one of the dads on When They See Us. John Leguizamo is prolific, man. He's in everything. All right, let me see if I can tap back into this. I'm not sure what we're going to be able to pick up with this live broadcast as they're first getting started, but let me see if they're popping now.
Suspension.
Councilmember Murray? Yes. Councilmember Pastor?
Yes.
Councilmember Silbott?
Yes.
Councilmember Sittenfeld? I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Smitherman?
Yes.
Councilmember Young?
Yes.
Councilmember Denard? Yes. Councilmember Lansman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes. And passage.
Councilmember Murray? Yes. Councilmember Pastor?
Yes.
Councilmember Silbott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smitherman?
Yes.
Councilmember Young?
Yes.
Councilmember Denard? Yes. Councilmember Lansman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
An emergency.
Councilmember Murray? Yes. Councilmember Pastor?
Yes.
Councilmember Silbott? Vice Mayor Smitherman?
Yes.
Councilmember Young?
Yes.
Councilmember Denard? Yes. Councilmember Lansman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Item 70, second reading.
Emergency ordinance authorizing acceptance and appropriation of the sum of $2,675,728 from the
Okay, so this is, I'm not even sure where we're coming in here, but I'll post a link for you from City Cable for folks that want to watch it live, and you can watch it live. If you live in the city of Cincinnati, I think it is news. It does matter to you, whether you smoke marijuana or you want to smoke marijuana or anything like that. I think it still does have an impact on your life and the overall community that we live in. So I'm going to pot this down, and we're going to make our way out of here. I'll be back with you at a regular time tomorrow at 7 a.m. Okay, so have an excellent day. Have a very, very blessed day, a powerful day, and we'll talk real soon. Have a great morning. My name is Nathan Ivey. Until next time, I'm out. Don't forget, we are doing our first CCW class on July 13th. All right, we want to move from talk to action, the Nathan Ivey Show, the Represent Now pack. And if you'd like to be a part of it, we still have time and room available for you to get registered. Okay, we want to get out here and make sure that our listeners, that our audience is represented in the way that they need to, that you can represent for yourself and your family. And I hope you're never in a situation like that. But if you are, I hope that you're prepared. All right, have a great day. And we'll talk real soon.